Good evening, everyone. We will call this meeting to order officially at 6:05. I'm sorry, and I apologize about the delay. For roll call, we have Joy, Stephanie, myself, Wendy, Erin, and Trina is trying to call in, and I believe Erin is working, so she's unable to make the meeting. With that being said, we are just waiting for Trina to call in, but while we are doing that, I will open the floor up to public comment. For those that, just give me 1 second, Mark. I see your hand raised. Give me 1 second. The Board of Education welcomes public comment. Each speaker shall have up to 3 minutes to provide input to the board. At the start of each regular meeting, a maximum of 20 minutes is allotted for comment on any item. Discussion of school personnel, individualized students, or of individual members of the board is prohibited. And yes, Mr. Mark Moraj, I see your hand raised. Are you here for public comment?
Yes, I am.
All right. Is there anybody else here for public comment?
Irene Correa.
Thank you, Irene. Anyone else?
Yeah, Andy also.
All right. All right. Well, I guess I will. Anyone else? I'm sorry. Is there anyone else here for public comment? I can't really see the list. I apologize. All right. Well, then we will open up with Mr. Mark Morash.
Okay. Good evening. Mark Morash, 25 Mist Hill Drive, Brookfield. I should have a little sign that just says that. I guess thank you for revising the agenda and putting public comment on. Thank you for following your handbook in item 1120A that says a period of 3 minutes per speaker for public comment shall be provided at all meetings. I guess I will keep emailing every time it's not on the agenda, and hopefully we'll eventually come to a place where we don't have to do that. The court observed that the public and interested parties be apprised of matters to be taken up at the meeting in order to properly prepare and be present to express their views. A notice is proper only if it fairly and sufficiently apprises the public of the action proposed, making possible intelligent preparation for participation in the hearing. I'd love to speak about the budget transfers, but I know I haven't seen a list. I'd love to speak about the bid options. I know I haven't seen a list. I'd love to speak about the prioritized capital needs, but I know I haven't seen a list. So while public comment was added to the revised agenda, I'm not sure how the public gets to speak intelligently if there's nothing but a sentence on the agenda. I've said it before, I will keep saying it, and it will fall on deaf ears apparently. I guess, I'm glad there are budget transfers happening. I'm glad there are bid options on the boilers. I guess I'm glad that there are prioritized capital needs. Since this is a special meeting, I have to stick to the agenda. If I have no information about the agenda, it really narrows what the public is able to, and maybe that's on purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Irene?
Hi, Irene Correa, Brookfield resident. It is difficult to comment publicly when there is no supporting documentation to review for the meeting. I asked our town purchasing individual for the boiler RFP responses, and he sent them to me. I was shocked at Edgerton's spelling mistakes. They misspelled every word in the proposal title: emergency, boiler, and replacement. They painted their solution as the only solution. They are forcing the district into doing a fast turnaround on the RFP selection. This is the same tactics used in phishing scams, creating an artificial sense of urgency. Southport had scanned data sheets that were unreadable. Dakin had the highest price, but included demolition, which the district will eventually have to do in the future. I do this type of technical review in my day job, and I would have had many questions for each of the vendors before I came to a conclusion to spend over $300,000 of taxpayer dollars for an emergency situation for a system that has been on life support for at least the past 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Irene. Andy?
Yeah, Andy Correa, Brookfield resident. I also saw the bids because Irene had them, and frankly, I don't understand why you're reviewing the Edgerton bid, or why you have the copy that you have. I would expect, the business office to have immediately turned it back to them. They misspelled the word emergency, boiler, and replacement. I assume, like all of us, they've had spell check for 40 years. If they're not spell checking and checking their work on their bid, how can we, assume they'll do a good job? In my work, when we see this type of production of a proposal, we immediately discount it. So it shouldn't come before the board. And then when I reviewed, I didn't go into as much depth as Irene did, but I have, commissioned boilers on industrial boilers, built ships, large engines in my early 20s, right? It's not really, it's difficult work to do. It's not difficult to bid and propose it or to plan it. It's relatively simple. I was shocked to learn that we have had no automation on the boilers for many years, that it was defeated. That the board should be looking at, why do we have this problem that we have with the boilers, and how do we fix it? I mean, we bought boilers 20 years ago. 20 years sounds like a lot of time for a boiler, but I've seen 80-year-old boilers that are in good shape, right? The technology on boilers, other than the control technology, is like 50 years old. We should have been able to manage these boilers such that we didn't have the issues that we've had for the past 5 years. And the manner in which we're looking to solve a problem that was completely avoidable seems slapshot, roughshot, and that you don't have the appropriate degree of expertise to bear. And based on how the agendas were staged, it looks like you were rushing into a solution where we were going to waste money. So I'm glad you're slowing down, but I don't think you have the right people on it. Thank you.
Okay, we will move into the next item on the agenda, budget transfers. Mr. Farisi, did you want to open up with anything, or did you want me to go? See you on me.
Yes, please. Is my speaker on?
Yeah, now it is. Yes, you're good.
Okay, great. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So yes, budget transfer. So just kind of a background. As many of you may be aware, the school district operates on a fiscal year that runs from July 1st to June 30th, right? So as the June 30th deadline approaches, boards of education therefore are required to execute the end of year budget transfers. So moving funds out of line items with potential surpluses into line items with deficits. This is actually a standard legal and structural accounting practice driven by a number of factors that we have to comply with. Legal requirements for a balanced budget, the unpredictability of costs, meeting the minimum budget requirements, and finalizing outstanding grants and any encumbrances that might be out there that we need to finalize and execute on. So at this point, Casey is going to lead us through our current budget allocations and recommended end of year budget transfers.
Perfect, thank you. I'm just going to share my screen if that's okay.
Certainly.
Make it bigger. Is that big enough?
If you can go a little bigger, that'd be great.
A little bigger? Sure. I can do that. How's that?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So as you know, we've been doing budget transfers throughout the year, each quarter, essentially. We've been doing some budget transfers. So you'll see that the transfer request list is not, extensive. now, but these do address any, as Superintendent Parisi said, any budget shortfalls or overages for all accounts other than salaries. Salaries are all, I'm not doing transfers within there. There's so many different called orgs, the location of different salaries. And for salaries, we do have a surplus in there. So, in total, so we're okay. But so this is all other accounts. And you can see here the approved budget for this fiscal year, $55,439,392. The balance of the account transfers in is $129,194. Transferring out is an equal amount to keep our budget balanced. These are the accounts that we are looking to transfer into. So these are expense accounts that have budget shortfalls currently. You'll see a lot of them are sort of operational fuel. We went over our allotted, our contracted amount, and then so we had to pay some higher costs at the very tail end of the year for our fuel. Other professional services, we've been tracking a shortfall in special ed for other professional services throughout the year. So I'm truing up some of those accounts. Maintenance supplies, we have an overage there. Heating oil, again, very cold, long winter season. We needed additional fuel for the heating oil for the buildings. Other equipment, some other professional services. Other equipment is some technology purchases. Technical services, this is to address the auditorium sound system upgrade that we would look to do. This may not come to fruition depending on the timing and availability of vendors to do this work in time, but we do want to ensure that the funds are transferred to that account should it be feasible to do so. We're going to shore up our legal expenses, and again, we are still waiting for legal fees. We are still waiting on the last 2 months of the fiscal year for legal fees. So these are estimates. Almost all of these are estimates, except for where the monies are coming from. Those are, pretty shored up final numbers. But again, this will bring us to the end of the year. And then all these other, under 5,000, these are just, small overages just to shore up those accounts. The bulk of the money, the bulk of the funds that will cover those budget shortfalls is really health insurance. I want to understand, I know that looks like a big number, $110,000. When we create the budget, if we have any vacancies in our staffing, when we build the budget, I do assume that unknown employee will take our insurance. Family insurance coming on that we have not accounted for could cost the district upwards of $35,000 to $40,000 for one employee. So it's really important that I do make sure that I am accounting for any unknown employees that we have, and then any employees that we currently have, I take exactly the census that we have at the time that the budget is built. So that's the bulk of where the funds are going to come from. Group life insurance was another. The rest of these are just small field trips. That amounts to a total across different locations of $13,502. And that will shore up all of these accounts as presented. Are there any questions?
Can you just scroll up a little bit, Casey?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
So what's the other equipment? I think you said technology, right?
Yes. Those are technology purchases. The other equipment, this other equipment, non-instructional. This is these are wet. I don't know exactly what they're called. They're sort of like, they're not wet vacuums, but they are vacuums for our custodial crew that basically pulls all the tarnish off of the floor. When they do the resurfacing of the floors throughout the summer, they need these specialized pieces of equipment, these vacuums. They're all on their very, very last legs. Some of them are being held together with some gray duct tape. So those are due to be replaced. And again, we have money in maintenance, but we're going to just do the transfer to the proper expense account, which would be in other equipment, non-instructional account. There is no budget in that account right now.
Okay, so that is to fix them?
That's to replace three vacuums, three specialized vacuums.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the was it? Just scroll up one more time.
Yep.
And the maintenance supplies, is that custodial or no?
It's not custodial. So custodial supplies is different from maintenance supplies. This is like plumbing supplies, anything other than custodial that are supplies to maintain the buildings and repair various things over at the buildings. It could be when glass, windows are broken, that would be a replacement there.
Okay.
Things like that.
Okay, thanks.
Does anybody else have any other questions? No. Okay. Stephen, do you have anything else on this?
I do not on this. If no one has any further questions on this, Casey, maybe I'll share again the agenda because I believe there's a motion.
I was just gonna say this one requires a motion. So
I was just
Right.
pulling up to the agenda. I don't know, Stephanie, if you wanted to make it or.
Yeah. I move that the board approve budget transfers as recommended by Superintendent Stephen Farisi.
I'll second. And I will open up for any more discussion. Does anybody have any other discussion on this? Okay. I'll go down the line as I see your names. I'll start with Trina. I'm sorry. All those in favor of approving the budget transfers as recommended by Superintendent Stephen Farisi, please indicate by saying aye. And what I meant to say was I will call you on the names that appear on my list first, starting with Trina. Trina, were you able to hear?
She's on mute.
Yeah, I see that. I don't know if I don't think I have it.
You should be able, whoever,
Oh, there. Hold on. It says we're not able to unmute someone, so I'll come back to her for the vote. Next up I have on my list is Caroline.
Aye.
Okay. Joy.
Aye.
Wendy.
aye.
Stephanie.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. And we are just waiting on Trina if she is able to unmute herself. Or Stephen, are you?
I
don't know if
tried.
we're-
I am
yeah, don't think
unable
we're
to.
able I don't think we have that power to do that. It's like, yeah. I don't
Does she have access to like a chat? Is she verbally
Yeah,
able
she should be
to-
able to type it into the chat.
or into a no, because the
Or-
comments, I don't think the chat's
Well, no,
open,
she's
but
on a
if you
phone call. She's on a call right now, so
But she could hit the icon for raising your hand as well.
I was gonna say, and then you should be able to call on her. I don't know if she can hear us or not.
She just said she can't unmute.
That's so weird. Well, we could call this an abstention.
is she able to call into one of us while we're on?
That's what I was gonna say. If maybe one of us can call her, then put her on speaker.
I'll try to call her.
Okay.
Okay.
Trina, if you can hear us, and you have to hang up to answer Joy's call, do that.
I believe she's disconnected already.
Hi, can you hear
Hello?
me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, good.
All right, I'm going to,
If you want,
I guess I'll,
oh, it just dropped. Hold on. I'll call her back.
The links we go to for budget transfers.
Oh, technology.
You there?
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I am so sorry. I was supposed to be home. My husband was supposed to do practice and we reversed and I can't log in or anything. So it's very frustrating. I apologize. Aye to the budget transfer.
Okay. Did everybody hear that?
Yes,
Yep.
we did it.
Yes.
And I hope she can hear me and all of us when we say no worries at all. We thank you for making the effort and jumping on. We can hear you just fine like that.
Okay, thank you.
I'll
Thank
just keep
you.
you on my phone.
Okay.
All right. So the budget transfers passed 6-0. And we will move on to the Brookfield High School boiler update replacement. And we will receive an update on our boiler.
Excellent. So thank you very much. An update on the boiler replacement. So as many of you may be aware, we have 3 boilers at Brookfield High School. One is completely offline, inoperable, and the other 2 are failing boilers, which has been showing signs of significant and steady decline as of late. Most recently, let's see, about a month or so ago, one of our most consistently reliable boilers of the 3, or of the 2 that were working, lost about 5 sections. That is significant when those sections begin to crack and leak. Parts, or we just can't find parts any longer. To date, every piece of evidence that we have suggests that these boilers, the actual boiler portion of it, are original to the building. There is a little question. Some people are wondering about some upgrades that happened maybe around 2005, 2006. That was for flame distributor. I think I'm saying that accurately, Casey. Would that be correct?
The flame burner.
The flame burner. So that's the part that kind of throws the flame into the boiler. But the boilers themselves were not. They were engineered out of the project at that time. So this has placed us in a position where we need, obviously, reliable heat for the next upcoming season, which begins around October 15th is when we kick on the heater. So between now and then, we need reliable heat. So we're in a position that requires us to take some action and ensure that we can manage the heating requirements necessary for the school to remain open come October. So I'll pin that for a moment, because parallel to this, albeit 3 to 5 years probably down the road, there is in fact planning that's going on for a complete HVAC redesign and upgrade. So I say that because that's important to know. We have that kind of happening parallel, but that won't be in effect at all, both because of cost and just the timelines it takes to redesign a whole HVAC system for a building that size, anywhere from 3 to 5 years at this point. So at this time, we're looking for a temporary solution that will ensure kind of reliable heat at BHS for the next 3 to 5 years. Some of the things that we consider when we go into this process are price, the product size to make sure that it can handle the size of the school, the scope of the work, the operations within the current system, and any warranties that come along with it, along with like afterlife use and or potential future use. Like, what could we do with it? Meaning, could we use this system to maybe replace the oldest one over at Wisconsin Middle School at the end of 3 to 5 years? Or could we resell this one to get some profit back to then apply back to the HVAC kind of redesign and upgrade? So we look at all those things when we take this into account. We put requests for proposals out, or RFPs, to vendors for possible solutions. We received 4 possible solutions late last week that I'd like to review to you tonight through what is known as kind of a bid leveling sheet, just a literal side-by-side comparison of those vendor proposals. Because this is an active proposal kind of process and we have not awarded the vendor the project yet, I've kind of organized the proposals into options A, B, C, and D. So that way we can maintain compliance with our obligation not to make vendor names public until the award has been made. So before I share the bid leveling sheet for our discussions, I did want to share that Casey, Dan, and I, number one, have reviewed these proposals numerous times and discussed the pros and cons. We've solicited feedback from Paul Checco based on his expertise in architectural system design. So we've had 2 meetings with him prior to tonight, as well as Steve Dunn. And so I would like to kind of share with you what we've learned and make a recommendation on what we think would be our best option moving forward to date. So going to share a tab with you and hope that this comes up on your screen. And I'm just looking to see that it does. Can you all see that?
I see it. Yes, sir.
All right, so you can see the first thing is the total bid price package. So how much would this cost us? And the range is anywhere from approximately, $341,000 to $633,000, right? For the various options. They all, right now, would appear to take care of one boiler of the three. The only difference between, so the first three options, A, B, and C, are one boiler that would replace a boiler. Options B and C would be built into our current system. Option A is a boiler that sits outside of it, and you can call this a plug and play, almost like an external hard drive for your laptop, right? It would be kind of work that way. All three options would supply the same amount of heat. Actually, even the fourth option would too. That consists of two smaller boilers. So if you read that one carefully, it will say two boilers, but they are still equivocal to the same size of the other three. They're just two smaller ones. So that would just be some of the differences in kind of like the comparison going across for the product design and feature. Option A does offer also reconditioning one of our current boilers with a 1-year warranty. So it would be a rebuild. So we have three in there, like I mentioned earlier. They would rebuild just one of those, and they would give 1 year, 24/7 service warranty on that one boiler. And we would have the plug and play boiler as well. So there would be some type of redundancy there. Option B and C do not offer that. Option D does have two boilers. And I'm not sure if one of those goes down, if the other one can manage, but it wouldn't be as much a capacity as the other three would hold because it would be half the size. So that would be a compromise that it would sustain us at a certain level of heat, but not potentially enough on the coldest of days. And so that would be one factor to consider there. The scope of the project, all of them believe that they can fulfill the request on time. So that's a very positive thing through all options. And so we did not have any grave concerns with that. Again, like I said, option A does come with that boiler that they'll reconstruct 24/7 emergency service for 1 year. All of them come with the standard warranties, and we'll get to that in a minute of all the other boilers, and that's usually a product boiler warranty. I will say the only one you don't see named is option A. The others did name the boiler specifically. They have guaranteed the same size boiler, but because of supply and demand, they would just make sure that it is obviously a name brand, but not putting an exact name because they want to be able to execute on getting one as soon as possible to be able to move forward with the execution of the project. So that would just be the first two lines. And if you go into like operational redundancy, I already shared that about, the difference between option A does have redundancy, meaning that if something happens to one, we have a backup. C or B and C, they do not. And option 2 does have redundancy, but it would be two separate units. So if one goes down, the other one can only produce half of what a full one could. So again, like I said, on the coldest of days, that could be a compromise. Future case uses, the one that option A, right now, we could do a couple things with it. We could sell it back for approximately $60,000 to $80,000 is what it would be projected to be worth in 4 to 5 years. Or we could take it and we could either use it again as a plug and play or install it into Wisconsin Middle School. Right now, we have a newer boiler there. We have two boilers there, not three, two. One of them, I think, is 2 years old, Casey, 2 or 3 years old.
It was installed last summer, so not even
Last summer. Okay.
Yep.
So about a year now. And the other one, though, is quite old. And so this could be a replacement there, which would be a potential cost savings. The challenge with the other 3, with the reuse, is that they would have to be deconstructed, right? So they're constructed to be built into the current boxing system that's there. You know, one would have to be taken out. This would have to be put in. Once you start taking those apart, we've learned that it does compromise potentially the integrity of the system, and there's no guarantee on the reuse of that. Doesn't mean it can't happen. It's just probability of chance is much more compromised. So, that is an option that we have. Timeline, operational readiness. Again, everyone kind of guaranteed it by when we need it. So we're not worried about that. Warranty, I think I already spoke to you a little bit about that. Most of them are the standard warranties that come along with the product itself, the actual brand. And we would get that same with option A, even though it looks a little different. We'd still get that 1 year, 10-year limited on parts and everything, just like the others, but we would get the 24/7 1 year on the rebuild. And then here is the resale and asset value at the end. So I will pause there because I'm sharing a lot. I know I'm not reading every detail to you all. I know you've had some of these things to kind of review a little bit prior to. I'd pause and ask for any questions that you might have that we could answer.
Yeah,
go ahead, Ray.
I have a couple, but when you said sell it back, so sell it back to who?
So it's considered a kind of plug and play unit. If you remember, let's see, what was it, 2 months ago now, maybe, we said one possible solution is to bring in a rental and do a rental for like every winter season. And that was like $174,000 or something like that. That's exactly what this could be used for in the future. It could be used as a rental item for them. They would buy it back from us because they could actually use this with other people who are in our situations for plug and play. So that's kind of like the market value of companies that do that, and there are high market for that. Actually, I was not aware until I now became aware.
Okay, so like, what's our long-term plan? Like, have we had discussions about this? Like, are there plans for a new high school, right? Like, because that's really important for making this decision, right? Like, I don't want to just put a Band-Aid on this problem that has been a systemic issue. If we have plans to, I don't know, possibly get a new high school, right? And what is our long-term plan? Like, I know we have a 10-year capital plan, but where does this fit into it as far as, because this is a short-term solution.
Right.
I don't want to rush. I don't think we should rush into a short-term solution. Maybe we should be thinking for a long-term solution.
So yeah, I appreciate that. I think we've talked a ton about that. So here are a couple of the options that we have. I will be honest, I was not aware at all of a potential brand new high school. So that's pretty awesome to hear. I'd love to talk more about that. But I do know that there was and is a proposal for a whole new HVAC system in the high school. There are a couple things to consider. Number one, the second that we put in a built-in into what currently exists, then we're kind of stuck with that, right? So either way, whichever one of these we go with, we will have to convert it to whatever the new system is. The likelihood that it will be steam or like what it is now is very limited because the efficiencies on that are nil compared to the efficiencies that we would get at 90% plus with a newer system that is not what we have now. So either way, whatever is put in there in about 4 to 5 years would have to be converted. It's already 4 to 5 years older than anything new that would be going in with this new HVAC system upgrade. So you have to consider that. And we still have a Wisconsin issue that we're going to have to deal with at some point in the future. So we do have to not just think about Brookfield High School, but we also have to think about what are our other needs district-wide, and might this be a solution, actually a big savings for us in another location for reuse, because it is a portable in a container boxed unit versus being built in. So we are trying to really think about long-term solution, but it might not necessarily be at BHS. And at the very least, if we could get the minimum of 60,000 for it, I think that brings it down to what, maybe like 285 or 280, something like that. It's a really low cost 3 to 5 year solution compared to other things that we just don't know yet would be any part of any future project. So we could spend well more than that, and we find in 3 to 5 years we have to tear that out, and we just spent that much money.
So I'm glad you brought up Wisconsin. So, but I think I heard you say that we could use it at Wisconsin, but it's not a guarantee that it would work. Is that correct or no?
No, it would. We could use it in the same way we're using it here. It can be a plug and play. It will plug right into that system. So Dan is on the line. I don't know if you want Dan to explain that a little bit more. He's got some deeper knowledge than I do on that.
Yeah, and then maybe Dan, you can speak to that, and also speak to, like, because I also heard that if one of them fails, right, the other one could sustain us, but to what extent can it sustain us? Like, would that meet the threshold of the expectation of the heat level that we're supposed to have, like according to the health department? Or, you know, are we talking like
how many boilers does BHS need to efficiently operate? I guess that's the big question.
Did you hear, Trina?
Yes.
Dan,
Thank you for saying that. Yep.
Dan, I don't know if you want to jump in if you're there. I can answer it if you're.
Sure, I'm here. So with the temporary boiler that option A is proposing, it's a sectional cast iron boiler. The boilers all have a output rating on them based on the amount of steam they can produce and how much fire they can take on the input, whether it be gas or oil. So yes, it could replace a boiler number 2 at the Wisconsin Middle School. In its original state, it would probably be slightly oversized, but because of it's a sectional assembly, we could remove a section and adjust the output to match what we have now. And so if we address the issue of how many boilers do we need in this situation at Brookfield High School, we know that each of those boilers individually, when running at full capacity, one boiler will run the plant on the coldest of days. And what has happened in our effort to keep them running at the end of this heating season, we have capped off some sections. So we have reduced the output capacity, excuse me, of the individual boilers, number 1 and number 2, that are still online. The boilers that were proposed on these units all match the capacity of these units when they're running at 100% output based on those size, with the square foot of steam required to be produced. Does that make sense, and does that answer the question?
Trina, does that answer your question? I'll ask you first.
Yeah, I guess so. So basically, the boilers right now, I mean, I'm thinking of like conjoined twins. They're like working. You're using all the boilers that essentially could one new boiler, or one very well working boiler would be able to, take care of the whole building. But right now, you have like 2 boilers that are kind of like, I don't know, like pieced together to make it work. Is that what you mean? Is that what you're saying? Because the third one you said is offline.
The third one is offline. The other 2 have been reduced in output in an attempt to plug sections so that we can run them.
Yeah.
When they run, they are set up to lead and lag. So on a demand for heat, one boiler runs, and when it shuts off, whether it be daily, weekly, it's usually timed, it'll switch over in the next cycle, the other boiler will run. And then under high demand, under high load, both boilers would run simultaneously. That's would be the ideal circumstance.
But in the perfect world, you don't really need two boilers. It's just that's the condition that they're in, that you need the two of them to work to make the building run.
That is correct. We like the redundancy in the event that one goes down, whether it be for maintenance or because of some sort of system failure. We would have another one, and we wouldn't look at interrupting school because of a no heat condition.
Okay.
Dan, when you said option A, did you mean Southport contracting or did you mean Edgerton? Because on the document it says option A is Southport.
So I'm going by Stevens, which is option A with no name.
Yeah, I thought we weren't supposed to mention names because of until the bid is secured.
Yeah, the options are unnamed just until the bid is secure. We're trying to just comply with public discussion about open bids and awards. So we would choose whatever option we think is in the best interest. Right now, we're just discussing them, but that would be our next task, I think, on the agenda.
Joy, option A is supposed to be the first one.
Okay.
Correct.
You have to relabel them.
That's why I'm looking at what Steven sent us in our documents. That's why I'm getting confused.
Yeah. So how much is
the one Steven said? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm sorry. The one that one's different than this document.
So we're
looking at the one.
He has that. Stephen, can I just ask? I want to clarify. It sounded like in the beginning you were recommending option A.
So I am recommending option A. Also in conversations, a couple meetings with Paul Checco now and Steve Dunn. We all feel that option A at this time is the option that would make most sense for potential now and future. Yes, period.
My questions have been answered. Can we put a motion on the table?
Well, I still have more questions.
And that would be the next, I think, agenda item.
Go ahead, Joy. No, I'd like to get everyone's questions out before. Go ahead, Joy.
So was the MBC, besides Paul, or was the MBC consulted at all or no?
This is not an MBC project. So we did run it by Paul based on his expertise, in architectural design engineering. So we did, look into it with him. But no, it was not provided to the whole MBC. To my knowledge, I'm not, not at a meeting or anything that I'm aware of.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I can't see, so I apologize. I keep talking over people, so please tell me to not talk if you're talking. The HVAC upgrade that you're envisioning in 3 to 5 years, does that not include boilers, or that includes like an entirely different HVAC system?
I will let Dan speak to that. It would involve some type of boiler, just potentially a different output. Like right now we're currently steam, right? So we're not like if you think of what CLES has, for example, it's completely different. Absolutely nothing like what we have now at the high school. So wouldn't even work. And we're not even certain if this boiler room is where we would house the next upgrade. For example, they're going to be much smaller, much more efficient, whole different type of system. It might not even be in this location. We don't know that. It may, but we're not sure on that yet. But Dan, if you want to speak to that a little bit.
Yes. So between a third and a half of the high school still has active steam throughout the building. And what's difficult with steam is it is difficult to control and very expensive to zone off and regulate. So we are plagued with overrunning heat in the wintertime. And that really is just the nature of a steam system where air systems, hydronic systems, which would be water, are easier to control and less expensive. So there are potentially an infinite number of ways to address a new upgrade, and that's why we've gone to this evaluation that's in the works for the high school and the middle school to look at that as a standalone. I think the importance of this today is in looking at having a heating system that is reliable with some redundancy so that we are safe and secure for starting up in this upcoming school year in September and be ready for fall weather. These projects are big, cumbersome. They take a little bit of time, and so that's why it's good that we have everybody here and the interest that's giving it. So we make the best selection for the district.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible to break out the cost? Because for the $341,000, so part of it's going to a reconditioned boiler, and the other part is for a mobile plug-and-play boiler. How much is the plug-and-play boiler and the reconditioned? How does that break out?
You're on mute, Stephen. Stephen, you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry about that. We did not ask them to do that for us, only because we thought the redundancy was an important feature. We could ask them that. I'm not sure if that would still be as, I'm not sure.
Yeah, just because if they're boasting a resale value, it would be kind of nice to know how much you actually paid for the mobile boiler and how much you're getting back on it.
There is a breakout of their pricing on page 4 of their RFP. It doesn't single out the boiler in a box that they're proposing, but it does give an overall breakdown. Material and labor.
I don't think we were provided with RFP, right?
Not the actual RFP.
Yeah. Is there a reason why option A, it says it's not guaranteed or guaranteed heat on by October 15th, but the other options guaranteed by September 1st? Because it could be cold before October 15th.
Absolutely. We told them that would have to be like the drop dead date, but Dan, you spoke with them, I believe. Do you have any update on that?
Yeah, so all of the folks who were at the pre-bid walkthrough, there was always concern about quick delivery on equipment of this size. It's not like going to Home Depot and getting a residential boiler, and that's why option A didn't name a boiler. They named the ratings that the boiler they were going to provide will make, and Stephen alluded to that earlier. So their timing, I think in option A, they believe that they could get started and have the existing boilers refurb, simultaneously work on the boiler in a box and get them delivered. I think they're just being cautious in their wording.
Where would the boiler in a box go? Because it has to go outside somewhere.
It would sit outside, adjacent to the generator, outside by the kitchen entrance, custodial entrance. And temporary piping would be a combination of rigid pipe and flexible piping to connect to our existing distribution inside the boiler room. It would connect to power supply from the building, would also connect to our oil supply for the building.
It sounds like, given the holistic view of like our budgetary constraints and the fact that we need this now, it really seems to me that you guys have done your homework. And option A, I'm actually quite pleasantly surprised that you vetted it so carefully and that it's so inexpensive. And so I would indicate that I support that, and I would like to call the motion.
Well, I just want to make sure Joy and everyone else's questions are answered first. Joy, do you have any more questions?
Yeah. So
Caroline or anyone else? I'm sorry.
You know, I'm not a big fan of choosing the cheapest option, but if you can, you know, convince me otherwise that why option B, C, or D are not as good options or isn't fiscally responsible, or, you know, it's my understanding that we're looking for a temporary solution, correct? Is that safe to assume?
Yes.
This is a temporary solution.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And just because it's the cheapest doesn't make it the best, right?
Excuse me, please don't. I'm sorry, Joy. That's not the point I was making. That's a good point.
That's on you. I was not making any conclusions based on what you said. I'm saying in life, the cheapest isn't always the best, right? And we can get burned by doing that because we have in the past, and we don't want to rush to this decision because it's already the can's been kicked down the road. And we're in this situation because we haven't made fiscally responsible decisions. So I want to make sure we're making a fiscally responsible decision for this temporary solution to a very impactful decision, the problem that we have right now facing our schools. So I'm not going to rush it through. And I'm not saying that you are, but you've already said twice what option you support, and you've already said twice that you wanted to make the motion. So Stephen or Dan, can you tell me or sell me on why option 2, 3, or 4 is not a good solution, or that why option A or option 1 is better?
Sure. Dan, if I could start, and then if you want to jump in after, does that sound okay?
Sure.
All right. Thank you. I think actually all 4 of them are good options. So I would not label any as bad options. I do think there are better options out of the 4, though. So I do think in some of the better selling features to me of option A, and when we talk about just price alone, please know that I think before we went out to bid, you know, option A came in at a higher price, more around the $420 of option C. It was very similar to that, and they sharpened their pencil and did some work and you know, changed it. So I think, you know, number one, they showed an effort of wanting to do work for us and with us. They are also the only feature that really has true redundancy. So that is an important feature to us, because if anything were to go down, we do have some guaranteed redundancy, at least for 1 year, and then we have the support to come in and fix it. Now, option D has some of that, so I don't want to say it's the only one. Option D definitely has some redundancy, but it's 2 smaller systems, so I don't know if it would achieve the same results. Equally, I think when we talk about, you know, more longer term and the after value and what we can do with it, we can keep it, and like Dan said, remove a section, and it can absolutely replace a boiler at Wisconsin. So that is a huge option, which if we cost that out, is going to be one of these prices up here, but by then maybe add on however many percent you think, right? And or sell it back and just take that savings in whatever the need is, de jour, you know, of the day, we manage it that way. So all the others do not really have that option, and we're rolling the dice on the others to know if they would ever be able to fit into any new system that we put in. Unfortunately, the question up front that you had, another great one, was about either a new high school or the new HVAC system. Like, you know, how will we know what will be bad? We don't. I think the bottom line is, between now and when we have to have heat, we won't have that answer. That is an unfortunate predicament we are in, but it is the reality of the decision we have to make. And we do need to guarantee that that high school will have a solution that we can get moving on, so that way we can ensure heat for October. So those are the reasons that I'm sold on that one. And then checking with, you know, someone with architectural design background and Mr. Dunn and a few other people who concur just help to validate the process for me. But that would be me, and that's what I would share with you in full transparency. Dan, please add whatever you think would be appropriate.
Sure. So I'm in complete agreement with you on that. And the only thing I would add that may not have been stated previously is that the new boiler, the boiler in the box, we'll call it, is a sectional boiler. It'll be applied as a steam boiler at the high school, but that boiler has the ability to be used for steam or hot water, which is what we use at the middle school for the hydronic heating season there. And they're interchangeable with some control changes. So the same water vessel is used for either a steam or hot water. That gives us flexibility to use it at the middle school, or to pedal it back to somebody who would use it. You have options with what you can do with that boiler.
All right, and I appreciate that. Appreciate all the feedback, and it all sounds pretty reasonable. Do we like anticipate any additional costs that we would incur with going with option A or option 1?
Dan, I defer to you on that.
Sure. So I think in our conversations at pre-bid walkthroughs and RFIs that came in on the project, I think we were very clear, and it's in the language on some of these. We're looking for a turnkey operation. At the end of it, whenever there's existing work, there are always some unknowns that are discovered as you're going. But because of the configuration of our boiler room, we feel there are very few things that would be hidden there. So we don't think there are any hidden costs that are going to surprise us. We've already gone through and done asbestos testing on those units, and that can be a major cost. So we were negative on asbestos, so that's a big plus for us that we don't have to deal with an abatement there.
So you said a turnkey operation. So which option ensures a turnkey operation? Is that just option A? Stephen, you're muted. Stephen, you're muted.
You're on mute, Stephen. Oh, yeah.
I do that one more time. All 4 of them up top show that. So the first one, option A, opens with turnkey installation of temporary containerized boil and the reconditioning. Option B is full turnkey. C is full turnkey. D is complete turnkey. So they all guarantee that in all their proposals. I wasn't on site for the vendors, but Dan and Casey were, and they were pretty clear about that.
Okay.
So for the newer boilers, you have B, C, and D. They seem to have a higher thermal efficiency. I know the B is like 86.7, and the other ones are similar to that. So essentially, in the long run, you'd have lower heating bills. What would the heating bills look like? Would it be higher because it's an older reconditioned boiler? What would that look like in the long term? As far as I know, we're trying to look at cost savings up front, but in the long term, in 3 to 5 years, what would that look like as far as the fuel costs or the heating for the heating bills?
Good question.
So on these types of steam boilers, these are not condensing boilers. They're all similar, and they are notoriously inefficient compared to a condensing gas boiler that can run 90+% efficiency. We'd be pretty happy with an 85% efficient steam boiler of this size running alongside of it. And again, high potential that this is a short-term solution to it. And with our boilers running the way they are now at reduced output because of the plug section, we've given up a tremendous amount of efficiency in their current state.
Mm-hmm. And option C, they can do hydronic. It looks like that one can do hydronic, except how's our water treatment for BHS? Because I guess you can get scale buildup or something like that. How will these things be maintained? it sounds like, these weren't, just as far as like, what is the plan for maintaining them, or is there a system or a schedule? How does that all work?
Sure. So along those lines, all of these boilers have the ability to be used for steam or hydronic. And we have had a chemical treatment online at Brookfield High School for at least the 10 and a half years that I've been here. It predates me, and we do inject descaler to help remove minerals from our boiler water. When the boilers are running, they get blown down to evacuate that from the system. So there is treatment in place, and depending upon what type of system would come up in the future, it's likely and probable that treatment would change based on conditions of a new system. But we are treating our boiler water now at the high school.
Okay.
All right. And are there any other questions?
No.
Nope.
Stephen, did you need a motion on this one? For the, you're on mute, brother. Been a long week. It's all right. Friday, June. We get it.
Appreciate that. No, this is purely discussion, this item. The next item we'll discuss and then have a motion that would include the boiler. So we'll get to that on the next agenda item, but this was purely open for review, Q&A, opportunity to, discuss any questions, concerns, recommendations as well.
Excellent. All right. So if there's no other questions, I guess we can move on to the allocation of anticipated budget surplus funds, the next agenda item.
Okay. Perfect. Certainly. So let's see. I wanted to. Let me just see where we are. Okay. So the allocation of anticipated budget surplus funds. So now that we've kind of discussed the various options for the boiler, we're in a position, and we've done the budget transfers, we're kind of in a position where we want to take any remaining funds from the budget that equate, to approximately what we have now right now is about $679,392 right now. And I say estimated or approximate because June 30th hasn't closed yet. Not everything is done, even though it's only a few days away. A lot can happen then, but that's about what we anticipate right now as a remainder. Most of the items being recommended are items that you've seen before and we've discussed, but some are new. So I'd like to kind of walk you through each and provide you with background and rationale behind these items and what we'd like to do from what I will call our my recommended capital list of expenditures. So can you see all that right now? Is my new capital list coming up for you?
Yes, we can see if you can make it a little bit bigger, that'd be great.
No.
I will absolutely. Is that better?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Trina, I could try to take a screenshot. Okay.
Okay.
So what we have is I am recommending in the capital priority list, the BHS boiler at the option A cost. I do recommend option A. So we would recommend that one move forward. We have discussed before the CLES playscape in one item that we could do and what I'd recommend, because I just see every day how hazardous it is and how much of a concern and challenge it is with the current, I'll call it rubber mulch. I don't know what the official name of it is, but if we did a pour in place surface with that, that would be an estimated around $200,000. As well as a new situation that has arisen since the last time we've met. I've learned that the middle school playscape, specifically the swings, but any other equipment that's there as well, has aged out to the point where the swings all had to be removed. There was an injury, and so we no longer have swings there, and we would not anticipate opening the school year next year with any play equipment for the kids right now. That is a big part of how they organize lunch and recess and kids' ability to kind of engage in some physical activity, which is very important for them throughout the day. So here we would recommend a new swing set and maybe another piece or two of equipment that would be age appropriate at Wisconsin Middle School. Now, we do realize a couple of things. Parks and Rec does oversee that right now. They have put that in their capital over the past couple of years. It has not moved forward. We have an opportunity to support and help our students through this realized funding that we have right now. So if we were to return it to the town, the funding, we are requesting through this capital priority list that money be allocated to, into Parks and Recreation's account for capital to be reallocated to Wisconsin. So that would be my request to you, that we do that as well. I would share with both playscapes. We are right now in a position where we have two kind of playscape needs, and the town has a playscape need in the lower part of TSO. They are looking to put in a playscape, another one there as well, or a new one, I believe. So we are trying to work on putting an RFP, a bid out to a playscape vendor who would hopefully give us a discount, because we would try to do 3 in Brookfield at one time. And we're hoping that through that, if we work collaboratively between the schools and the towns, that we could effectively allocate resources and even see a reduction in these costs. Any reduction in the costs would just be a benefit back to the town. So they would realize those finances. So we have been, Casey and I have been actively discussing that with First Selectman Dunn, and we think there's a great opportunity here. We have a need. We want to be able to fulfill that need. So right now, these would be my 3 recommendations for how we use $616,979. Those remaining funds. And you see, we get to those funds by these savings, right? So salary and all other savings comes to approximately $295,117. Anticipated special education balance or savings comes to $384,275. And so our total anticipated surplus is approximately $679,392. We did have an extra, if you add all this up, the $616,979, that does leave a remaining $62,413. We would just return that to the town as what we can give back. So the actual total that we're anticipating that we would return to the town would be $679,392. And we are asking that we would return that in good faith, that the town would purchase option A boiler, a playscape, and a pour-in-place surface for CLES, and a playscape redo for Wisconsin Middle School. And then keep the remaining funds or any savings that are realized through the consolidation of the playscape work.
So the CLES playscape, how much is that? And then how much is the pour-in-place?
The pour-in-place, the pour-in-place is upwards around $50,000 to $60,000. It depends on how much we are able to pour in play, because they have multiple areas. So it might only last us a little bit. It also depends on which playscape we go with. We made a recommendation for a playscape that we were quoted at about $115,000. If we go forward with that one, then that would leave the remainder for the pour-in-place, surface, which there may be a realized savings there, right? For a couple of reasons. Number one, if we go with a vendor who can replicate that playscape or something very similar, and we get a discount on that because we're doing Wisconsin and the town, and we combine it all, there might be a savings realized there. And the pour-in-place might be a savings too if the town is doing some of that. I am not sure completely on the scope of their project, but what we do know is that this is what we would potentially allocate. Whatever again is remaining would just, if we have a reduction in that or they're unable to do the pour-in-place, that savings would, or that increase would just go to the $62,000, and that would be more that the town would have. So either way, the recipients of any product or cost less than what I'm proposing here just goes right back to the town.
Okay, so essentially there's really a lot of unknowns with the scope of the project of the playscapes, both playscapes.
Yeah, well, I think if I were to just break down the $200,000, we can comfortably say, if we go with the one that's already been reviewed, it's $115,000. So that would leave the remaining for the pour in place, right? So those two are broken apart, and we kind of have the numbers on that. And we would just do as much of that as we can with that remaining fund. The Wisconsin Playscape, we feel confident that that would get us a new swing set. What are those like octagonal, like ball, little 3-foot wall ball thing? What's that?
Like a Gaga pit?
Yeah, they were thinking one of those, and maybe just one other small piece of equipment. So the 75 would definitely cover that. So again, we're looking to put all that out to an RFP with the town. So yes, I know the costs aren't exact, but I think we do have some fair estimates.
And the CLES Playscape, so we haven't really dove into that. Is that
okay?
It's not usable. It's not, I think it got tossed around that it's not age appropriate. Is it not safe? Like, what is the reasoning? Is it one of the playscapes that's going to be replaced, or are we adding on to it, taking pieces away? Like, what's the plan? Because we haven't really talked about it.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So we learned that we can't add on to it. And I think the town is running into the same predicament with their playscapes. Even though they're not that old, companies tend to kind of upgrade things, like car models upgrade every 3 years. They upgrade things, so you can't do add-ons, you can't do a lot of changes to the existing structure. So we would leave it as it is. It is not age appropriate for the students that go out in that area, but it isn't unsafe. It's a term I might use is boring, and it definitely doesn't build the musculature that we would hope, and the physicality of students age appropriate. So it would not do that. It literally is a replica of the preschool one or the lower grade one that they just slapped a different age on, and it's no different. All sizes and measurements are the same. So this would be more age appropriate. We would put it in a whole, not an area right next to it, which there is space for. So we would not have to deconstruct that one. If we were to do that or just have it removed and maybe try to give it to someone else, we would have to potentially incur a cost for that. And I would want to check with our insurance on all that and just make sure that we're not engaging in any matter that we could be held liable for in the future. So I'd want to look into all that. But at the end of the day, I do think there's going to be some costs associated with that, unless someone is willing to come in and just take it. And again, at that, we would just again need to make sure that we're, that they are able to put the existing floor bed back down the way it's intended, so students don't get hurt. I know we just had a hygienist come out and a crew come out and redo that because it wasn't done appropriately. So we would just want to make sure that it still meets that standard, which might cost us a little money to have them come back out after. So those are just all the things to consider. But right now we were thinking leave it as is because it wouldn't incur any more costs.
Yeah, so I'm not challenging what you're saying. Now it's part of the new school project since its inception. So like, what guarantee are we getting that, it's $200,000, right? That's a lot of money. So what guarantee are we getting that we're going to do it right this time? Because we didn't do it right the first time when we built a brand new school. I was not given the opportunity as a board member to question the playscape. We were never given the plans, or we were just told that they were the experts, right? So I don't want to be in another situation again where we're investing money and oops, it's still not appropriate, or it's still not age appropriate, or it's, because we've already invested a lot of money in this.
Yeah.
So what guarantee is there?
I appreciate that greatly, again, because I think it's true. And I think that's why, transparently, I tried to share with you the plans of what they were recommending and what they came up with. If I would have no problem if a board member ever wants to go and be a part of the Playscape committee meeting, again, before we finalize that decision. But if you want to review the plans that were sent and go check out maybe online, balance that against other ones like it that do meet those age criterias. I think if, I was just looking at it again the other day, it clearly is very different and has much different apparatus than the current structure there, which absolutely meets what they, students would need at that age group. But yeah, I think we're open to continuously reviewing that and looking at that. So, and I would want to run that along with what folks come in with in the RFP, right? Like we need something that is this age to this age, and that's what it's going to read in the RFP. So we're interested to see what people come back to us with too, right? People who do this for a living as well. But, the folks that we got it from do it for a living.
And I know you inherited this, right? So that's what we were told, right? That
Yep.
Meets all the criteria, checks the box, Yep. Go ahead, Trina.
Sorry, so the playground that you had shared with the board, I wasn't part of the board at the time, but the playground that you had shared, was this the same developer as the one that we're trying to replace?
That's a great question. I don't know. I'd have to look into that. Casey, do you know if that's true or not? Or Dan?
I don't know. We can find out.
We can find that out
either, but we can definitely find out that information.
And honestly, I think that if we are to look at a new playground or what have you, I guess it's supposed to be for grades kindergarten through second or ages 5 through 8. Wasn't that the age range you're looking to replace the playground for? Was it for that age group? The 5 through 8? Was it that one? Was that the age group?
What's the age
sorry,
group?
I was going to say, I think I remember from the previous meeting where you handed out the materials that they're adding to the 3 through 8 age group, right? They're not replacing anything on that side. They're just adding to.
They're adding it to another location, right?
Out in that same side of the K through 2 or the K1 side, pre-K through 1 side. They're adding a second play area for the older kids because the equipment they have out there is more geared toward like pre-K and K and the little kids. And so they were adding a secondary, right? Am I understanding that correctly? Because that's what I have in my notes from the meeting in your update, Stephen, when you handed out the paper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was just trying to see if, am I
on the, sorry, go ahead.
So can you see this?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you if you can just jump on mute. I'm sorry. Yes.
I know it's really loud background. I just wanted to let everybody know. I think during a finance meeting, I did request that the committee for the playground come and actually present to the business operations now committee first, and then present to the full board all the different options and ultimately what we're going to go with. Because I think, the way I understand it is that this first quote, which is kind of a preliminary quote. It's a directional quote. Is that true?
So I think it all depends on how the board chooses to move forward with that. But actually, at the end of the day, the board is just making a recommendation for how this money is used to the first selectman. Yes?
Caroline, I'm sorry. Could you go on mute? There's a lot of feedback. Yeah. Thank you.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think CLES would hope for this one. It's one of, it is just a quote, right? So if we did go out to RFP or if we, wanted to do something further, I think the board can request that and that's fine. Right now, what they looked at is a unit that would meet ages 5 through 12. right? So it has everything in there that would suffice for students that age. Because right now, the current one they have is really a preschool unit. So you see here some of the criteria. If I just take a moment and come out of that, I could show you again. Is this sharing now, the unit?
Mm-hmm.
Is that showing for you kind of what the unit is like in the grave difference, right? So it's still got some smaller areas with the slides and over to the far left for younger students, and some play areas that you can, climb in and out of, a bigger slide in the upper northern part of the unit, but then a lot of areas where you can actually climb and use upper body and gain upper body strength and mobility that really expand throughout the kind of lower part, and I'll call it like the snake, the S, that comes off to the tail over to the right-hand side. So, those are just some of the differences here, which are drastically different in a grave improvement compared to what was shared before. I think for tonight's purpose, and what I think we need to be aware of, is as a Board of Education right now, all we can do is make a motion to request that the first selectman allocate funds for this capital improvement list. Now, we haven't put in this list the exact playscape or the exact company or any of that. That is something that we can still work on, and we can then suggest how it's then allocated, because what would have to happen is the first selectman would then, we would vote to pass these monies over to the first selectman or the selectman, and then they would vote to give it over to the Board of Finance. Now, we are voting in good faith to be used on these items, and we would hope then the Board of Finance would reallocate it back to us for these purposes. And so we will have some time, although one of these items is more of an urgent matter than the others, which I would say is the boiler, right? So we would hope that we could expedite that process. If we still needed to do some work on the playscapes, because we're going to go out to RFPs and really look things over, that would give us some time for that. And so this would then maybe be one in a series of potential vendors that are bidding for our business. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Puts the focus back on the right things.
All right. Oh, sorry, Wendy, again.
Oh, that's good.
All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, we have recommend the motion. Stephanie?
We haven't made the motion yet.
No, I know.
But I was going to ask, does the motion that's currently on the agenda, Stephen, encompass everything you need, or do we need to specifically call out anything?
Well, I think the vote would be, and again, I'd want to have I know there's a discussion after the motion is made, but no, this motion would encapsulate everything, right? So that the board requests funding from the Board of Selectmen to address the needs outlined in this capital improvement list that I just shared with you all. So that is what we would be
we
submitting.
don't need to call out anything specifically like what we just discussed. It would just that motion encapsulates what you need.
Yeah, because I tried to appropriately title this list the superintendent's capital priority list, and that's how the motion reads. So these would be two things that are married. And that's what we'd be requesting the funding goes toward once it gets to capital.
Can I add one thing, if I may, Robert?
Please.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I just want to, I just want to be clear in like next steps. So it's not as if we're going to send this list to the Board of Selectmen and just say, can you approve this? It's going to be a very similar process to when we have made other off-cycle capital requests, where we're putting information together related to each one of these items so that they have the full picture of what we are asking for and what the funds will, what needs the funds will address for the district. And so each one of those will have detailed information that the Board of Selectmen will receive. But in order to make that request formally to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Ed just needs to approve that you do make the request to them. So they will get more information than just this list, but if the board can just approve this list, then we can get to work on the more detailed info for them.
All right, do you want me to go ahead and make the motion so that we can get it on the
Sounds
table?
good.
I move that the board request funding from the Board of Selectmen to address the needs outlined in the superintendent's capital priority list.
I'll second. Is there any more discussion on this before I call the vote? Any other comments, concerns? All right, cool. All those in favor that the board request funding, that we move that the board requests funding from the Board of Selectmen to address the needs outlined in the superintendent's capital priority list, please indicate by saying aye. And I'll go down the list, starting with Trina.
Can you just skip over me? I got to think about it for a minute.
Oh, absolutely. I'll come back to you. It was just a list that it's appearing on my, that I wrote down. I'll jump over to Caroline.
She said aye.
Joy?
Nay.
Wendy?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
I am an aye, and I will go back to Trina.
I'm going to abstain on this one.
Okay. So is that does that pass? Passes 4-1, right? That's what I thought. Okay, thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much, ladies. Okay. Do we have anything else for everyone? Which I don't think we do. Without any objection, we will adjourn the meeting at 7:32.
Well, I'll move to adjourn the meeting at 7:32. Rob.
I'll second that.
All right. All those in favor? I didn't know we still do. All right. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting at 7:32, please indicate by saying aye. Trina?
Aye.
Caroline? Joy?
Aye.
Wendy?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. Hope you guys have an outstanding evening, and I will see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.